Hi, my name's Beth Rowlands. I'm Head of Talent and Skills for Fujitsu in the UK. I just wanted to say a few words really about digital delivery and the importance that it plays in our business, and certainly how we deliver any training interventions or any people interventions really. We've been delivering everything digitally really since the start of lockdown. And what we've learned very quickly is there is a very unique set of skills that you need to really make your digital delivery a truly engaging experience. I guess at the start we kind of thought, well, there can't be that much you need to know, right, about Zoom. You can learn as you go, you can pick the skills up over time, and that's probably true. However, if you really want to accelerate your learning and you want to make the most of Zoom or Teams or all the plethora of different tools that are available to you, and really hone your craft, then I would really suggest investing in some personal development for yourself. As I now regularly buy in this market, and I'm looking for trainers that can deliver superbly and get a superbly engaging experience really. And I think I've got, as a buyer, a bit savvier as kind of time has gone on, and really I'm clear now on what I'm looking for. So I think it's super important to spend some time on your own personal investment and in upping your game in how you can take the day-to-day training that you deliver and really make it fit for purpose via an online environment, whichever one you happen to choose.
So right at the beginning of lockdown, we were facing a dilemma. One of our most valued clients had asked us to provide them with a suite of virtual learning materials to support their staff through the whole lockdown experience. I've never trained in a virtual classroom environment, nor had anyone else in our organisation, and never even been on a webinar as a speaker. So this was a really scary experience, but we didn't want to let our client down. So we came across this virtual skills program and we ran it for our organisation, and it gave us not only the confidence but also the skills to translate our virtual or into a virtual learning process all of the face-to-face materials that we've been so far running up until then. In terms of the impact on our business, well, we've kept going all the way through lockdown. We haven't needed to furlough any of our team, and we've not only been able to satisfy that client's demands, we've been able to also win new work, and we turned our offering from a face-to-face offering into a virtual learning offering, expanding our repertoire and really enjoying it as well. So the impact's been fantastic.
When lockdown started back in March this year, it was a really interesting challenge to start thinking about how I'm going to pivot my business, because one of the biggest challenges, of course, is the fact that we were so restricted in what we could do. So having more impact and being able to still support my clients was absolutely paramount to me. I've had my business for 10 years and always done a lot of my work through my coaching, mentoring and leadership programs has been done face-to-face, like most of us. And this for me was a massive departure to change it all. So one of the big areas for me was really important for me was to invest in myself and start learning about how to use virtual technology and how to use Zoom, Teams and so on to be able to do that. I've loosely used Teams and Skype before, but never ever used Zoom before. So the impact that's had has been absolutely massive and all positive. And I feel we've really got to climb mountains this year to pivot businesses and become more agile and innovative about the way we deliver things. So understanding how to use it and the functionality that sits there and all those opportunities has just been absolutely amazing. And I've really enjoyed learning about it. The impact's been just phenomenal for me. And it's really, I feel like it's really setting my business up to take it forward into 2021 and beyond. And it's opened up my world. The physical world's changed, but my global reach now is just huge. So I'm really thankful that I've had that opportunity to be able to really get to grips with how to use all this virtual technology. So it's been excellent. As Angie, Evolution of Business.
Right, welcome everybody to our 1 hour taster webinar for Dial Up Digital. It's fantastic to have so many fabulous faces and so many friendly faces. Some people we've met before, some people we haven't met before. So thank you so much everybody for joining us today. We're going to be together now until 10:30 and it's going to be a really interactive session. So get ready to engage and interact with us as we go through the session today. We are recording this session, so we will release various parts of this recording for you to revisit should you want to. Again, it's important to make sure that we are recording information that can be shared amongst our peer group as well. So yeah, we'll make sure you get a copy of this after the session. So just to introduce myself, my name is Erica Farmer. I've got 20 years corporate learning and development experience with some of the UK's biggest brands, such as British Gas, LV, Specsavers and Virgin. I have been an online facilitator since 2014 when I was introducing interactive online learning into LV. And I live in the West Country in Clumpton in Devon with my two little pugs, Pepper and Daisy, and you'll see Pepper and Daisy Pug on the logo for the Welcome To website. And you'll see on our slides as we go through, you can see in the right hand corner there, we have our own QR codes as well. So if you would like to visit the various websites, do hold your phone over the QR code and it will take you to our websites as well. Let me hand you over to Sam for an introduction.
Hello, good morning everybody. Yes, welcome to Dial Up Digital today, or at least a taster. My name's Sam Sloan. I've also got around about 14 years in L&D, but 10 years in this space, in the online space. And oh goodness me, am I really pleased that I took that step 10 years ago when I was a little hesitant, I've got to say. I've also got a big corporate background, ex-Barclays, etc., and I work with some of the world's biggest banks now also as an associate, and also some other contracts as well that I also get involved in. I live in Manchester and I love anything about aviation. Anything with an engine and a couple of wings will do for me. And again, you can see my QR code in the corner like Erica has just mentioned. So welcome everybody to today's session. Just hand over to Hayley so she can introduce herself.
Brilliant, thank you, Sam. So yeah, just a very brief introduction for those of you that don't know me. My name is obviously Hayley Bird. So I've been working online now since the business that I worked for previously switched to digital online learning. So it's been about nearly 4 years now, with 10 years in learning and development in various sectors. So I also live down in the southwest, not very far from Erica, and I live in Exeter, Devon. I've got a young family, so facing the challenges at the moment of working remotely and having children around. So I will just put it out there now, apologies, we've got a 5-year-old in self-isolation, so if you hear some battling going on in the background, I promise she's being well looked after somewhere in the house, but hopefully it'll be all right today. So there's a little bit there about me. Again, my QR code is there, so you can access my website, and we'll be showing those again at the end. So if you don't get to take a snap of that now, you'll be able to pick those up at the end of the session as well. Same as if you missed the video as you were entering today, we'll be playing that again at the end, so you can also hang around to see that one as well. So very briefly, I'll just kind of talk to you. You've got three ladies here from 3 different businesses. I'll quickly just talk you through a little bit around where we came together really, and the reasons that we've met and the reasons that we've been decided to build some really excellent programs to support businesses. So Erica and I worked together many years ago in a previous organisation, and we caught up again at it must have been the beginning of last year now, if not slightly before, and started talking about how we were thinking to set up our own businesses, and we really got sort of connected in terms of our vision and what we wanted to do, and since then have almost been working as if we have our own company together as opposed to separate really. And Sam was very similar again. So Sam and Erica met, they had a lot of similarities in terms of their expertise and experience as well during lockdown. Again, formed a fantastic relationship, and we came together starting to think about what we could do. So what we thought was actually the 3 of us bring together quite a diverse range of skills, and that makes it quite unique because we all come at things from a slightly different angle. We're not exactly the same. We've all got different levels of skills, but it comes with a sort of underlying interest within this virtual space. So we thought, wow, how powerful could it be if actually 3 people with really similar interests and passion around this collaborate and come together, and that's where Dial-Up Digital was born, really, and how that came to life. So you'll see the benefit of some of that, hopefully, in the session today and beyond. So we're going to go on now. I'm just going to introduce you to the tools that we're going to be using today. So as you can expect, I hope you didn't expect an hour of us presenting to you, because that just isn't going to happen. It's really interactive today. So we'll be looking for your input. We'll be asking you for your ideas and thoughts on things as well. Now, there are a number of people on this call today, which makes unmuting an open conversation a little bit challenging. So you can mute and unmute your microphones your end, and you can see where to do that just in the bottom left-hand corner there. But we'll probably be answering questions using other forms of interaction, which I'm going to introduce you to now, such as the chat. I can see lots of people in there already. So with that in mind, we're going to be looking at some reactions, so we can use these pretty easily as a wider group today. These have changed slightly in Zoom, actually, for those of you that are in and out of Zoom quite a bit. So you can access those reactions there at the bottom of your screen. So you can see you've got a black toolbar at the bottom there. If you just click on reactions, give us a little reaction maybe as to how you're doing today. Have a little play around with those reactions now. You can click on the thumbs up, the laughing face, the heart, the celebration. You've got green ticks, red cross. So I can see lots of people playing around with those already. Brilliant stuff. Now, they do disappear after just a few seconds. So if you wanted to alert our attention and you want it to stay there so we don't miss it and we make sure that we see it, the raise hand is the best icon to use there. So you can raise your hand, that will then stay there, which means that if you want to alert us to anything, we can spot it there as well. But do keep sharing your reactions throughout the session. If we say something you really agree with, give us some of those reactions so we can see that. Same with the thumbs up and the clap hands. It's all really encouraging for us to see lots of interaction your end. Okay, so we're also going to be using the chat. Some of you have already been in there already. I can see loads of messages there coming into the chat. So I'm just going to ask you now, just pop a little note in there. Let us know what kind of week you're having, something interesting about yourself. Just say hi if you want to. Let us know where you're from, anything you like. But just open up that chat there and say hi. Thanks, Jackie. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome. So do pop some little messages in there, and we'll be using the chat box quite a lot today. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Michelle. Brilliant stuff. Hi, Emma. Okay. Hi, Becky. Snowing there, Becky. Do you know, I've been so jealous of all the snow pictures over the last 24 hours. We didn't have any yesterday. It just rained. I looked out the window. I was like, oh, brilliant. And I was seeing all these lovely pictures of people enjoying the snow. Hi, Kavita. Good to have you here. Brilliant stuff. So lots of people in to join us, and you get the idea. Use the chat, keep it open. We're going to be asking for lots of different things in there. Hi, Kim. Welcome to the session as well, and Sarah. So keep those coming, keep that interaction coming. We absolutely want to hear from you. So with that in mind, we're also going to be annotating today. So at the top of the screen there, you can see a green bar just running along the top that says you're viewing Sam Sloan's screen. If you click on that one, just next to it is View Options. Click on View Options and open up the Annotation toolbar. So this will open up a black toolbar on your screen, which means that you can type on the screen, you can draw on the screen. I can see Jennifer having a play around there with the stamps. So just click on the T for text. Click straight onto the screen and you'll see a text box will appear. So you can type your name in there, you can type anything you like. And then once you've typed something, just click away. That text box will then disappear. And that means that we can all see things at our end. So I can see lots of things there. So have a play around with that. Feel free to decorate the slides. We're also going to introduce you to a few of the other annotation tools as well. You can change the color of your text. You can draw us pictures. Brilliant, Jennifer. I can see you playing around with the arrows there as well. That's it. Good stuff. You can play around with the size of your font. Brilliant. This is fun. And yeah, it is quite good fun. I don't know why, but it is. We're all big kids, really, aren't we? So this is effectively our whiteboard, if you like, our flip chart paper, our resource. This is everything when we're delivering training online. The annotation tool, your creativity, your imagination is the limit here, and we're going to share some of that with you today. So good to see so many people on there enjoying those. So do get involved. Hopefully we've given you enough means and ways of communicating with us as well. Brilliant. Okay, so just for a bit of fun then, just before we get going, I've put a world map on the screen here. Just grab a stamp there. So again, in that annotation toolbar, grab one of the stamps. It's probably best to pick up maybe, oh yeah, the red hearts are nice there. Let me know your favourite place in the world. So looking at this world map, which is the place that we're all missing? And if you've put a stamp there by accident, you can clear it away as well, just by clicking that little dustbin in the annotation toolbar. See, some people went into the UK then thought, actually, there's other places I might like to go. Brilliant. So where's your favourite place in the world? And this is our dream, right, of where we're going to end up again one day, and we absolutely will. So world maps, again, it's just one idea, a way to bring in your annotation tools, involve people, get people feeling more emotive in any session, is to start thinking about things and reflecting on things for themselves. Okay, so we're quickly going to fly into the next one. I know we're working at pace. We've got so much to get through, so this is all a bit of a taster for you. But as we say, you'll have the recording to be able to go back to as well. So we're going to go in now to our agenda. So that's it from me for a second. I'll be back again later in the session. I'm going to hand you over to Sam now to talk through the agenda for the day. If you've got any questions, again, keep popping them in the chat there, and we'll be responding to those as they come in.
Superb, thank you, Hayley. Also, I think having a look at that map just a second ago and sort of watching chat earlier, you know, we've got an audience here from all over the world. I've sort of saw Paris and India, etc., which is just superb. And again, it just really highlights the power for me of bringing people together globally as well. And Sarah, you've left that little heart there. I'm going to leave that there just for a second while I move forward. So let's just have a look at the agenda. It's quite cute having a little heart on the screen. Okay, so what is it that we're going to be having a look at today? Well, the impact of 2020 and COVID-19 on the acceleration of digital learning. Gracious me, boy, did it take an uplift really rather rapidly. I remember seeing a headline that Zoom had gone from around 20 million users to 300 million users in a very, very short space of time. So the acceleration was huge. And really coming into this arena 10 years ago, I've kind of seen a real steady increase of use, shall we say, but boy, did it really push people into making that decision last year. So we'll explore that as well. Also explore the challenge sort of mindsets towards virtual learning, because I still see and I still hear quite a lot of, oh, you know, my course will never work online and that'll never be able to be, you know, converted, etc. And I still have those conversations now, so that'll be really interesting to sort of get your thoughts on that one as well. Also an opportunity to reflect on the challenges of implementing virtual learning and what actually does that really mean for you and your businesses, and how can you lead the way in digital transformation, not only for yourselves, for the business, for the facilitator delivering it or the host, but also the learners. We want them to feel the difference rather than it just be a couple of hours sat on Candy Crush just listening, quite frankly. We want to get completely away from that. What is Dial Up Digital and what's in it for you? So we'll talk through actually the programme and also any next steps as well. So like Hayley's just mentioned there, if there are any questions as we move through, then please feel free to ask. So we're going to do our first activity now on a whiteboard, and you're going to use those annotation tools in just a second as well. And I want to know, what is it that you're most interested in finding out about today? So this is what's called a video whiteboard, and there's a couple of sections here. If you just pop your name in front of your text, if you like, or write your name and then write it, whatever it is that you want to say, or whatever it is that you're most interested in finding out, you'll need that little text tool that Hayley's just mentioned just a few moments ago, and pop down what it is that's intriguing you. I'll just give you a moment or two just to do that. I like a bit of freehand as well. Thanks, Sarah. Don't worry if you type over each other as well. I can also move things around, so don't you worry. You don't actually need to kind of delete anything, and I can also see who's typed as well, so don't you worry too much. Okay, so it looks like Sarah's saying change of mindsets. Thank you for that, Sarah. Just wait for a few more to come through. So if you off that little text tool that comes down, if you like, that little annotation bar, if you choose the T, that will then, when you click onto the screen, it will allow you to type. And don't worry, like I've said, if you do type over, I can always move them around. If you wish to change your text colour, you can. Like we showed you just a second ago, you click format and that allows you to change the colour as well. I can see a few of you have already started to do that, which is awesome stuff. Got quite a large group today, so I've got a feeling that this board is going to get super busy. If you're struggling with the annotation tools, just pop it into chat. That's absolutely fine, and we'll pick anything up in chat also as well. So let's start to come to a few of these. Like I've just said there, Sarah said about change of mindsets. I've seen a real shift, but then in another sense, still the same old, oh, it's never going to work as well. So it's quite an interesting one, what we've been kind of seeing and hearing over the last 12 months or so. Becky's saying there, how to adapt existing training. And again, that's another really big challenge. You know, we have quite a lot of businesses that will just simply pick up and drop face-to-face events, for instance, into this space, and then kind of wonder why the engagement drops and why people aren't quite getting the learning outcomes that they were getting from face-to-face, for instance. And that's something that Dial Up Digital most definitely addresses. Kim's saying there, how others manage their online delivery and target market. Absolutely. Again, that's another big one, that managing the online delivery. Maria's nice activities of 2 to 5 minutes for interaction in order. Oh, right. Okay. To put live. I see. Yes. No problem. Thank you for that, Maria. Thank you for clarifying there for me. Normally, I'm not too bad with shorthand, etc. Floris is saying that understanding the balance in a blended learning, offline versus online, increasing the attention span of learners as well. And that's another really interesting point, because one of the things that we have a look at in Dial Up Digital is actually how can we enable our learners to retain more information, which of course is one of the big challenges, to be perfectly honest, of any training. But in here, because people get so distracted, actually how can we really encourage that? Shining up my skills and seeing. I'm not quite sure if there's anything else off the back of that. Let's know, but we'll see if there's anything else there, Michelle. That's fine. What's new? Right. Okay. Thank you for that, Michelle. That's perfect, because you can just see that's popped into chat. Rachel's saying there, how to adapt training to online, and again, that adaptation very similar to Becky just a few moments ago. Vicky's saying ideas on how long a session should be typically be. Again, we cover that in Dial Up. We most certainly do, because we don't want it to be too long either. That's another really interesting point. Desiree's saying there, how to impact and excite people to learn online. Awesome stuff. Well, definitely we do a lot of that. Kizzy's saying keeping sessions engaging. We've got Natasha saying new digital ways to engage learners, and we're upskilling ourselves all the time. We find stuff, we try stuff out, we test it, etc. So yeah, definitely it's a big thing, and it's moving very quickly as well, Natasha. It's a good point, Matt. Kelly's saying there, assessing engagement, lovely. Again, very much focused on that. Jennifer saying to see what my colleagues think about using Zoom and challenge the use of Teams over Zoom. We see this an awful lot. Teams has got some quite nice functionality, but I've got to say, as a learning environment, Zoom does tend to win. But there are some very nice functionalities and features in Teams as well. How can I make training sessions, meetings more interactive and engaging? Absolutely. How can I bring my virtual course to life? Interaction, barriers and resistance. So all of these types of things are the sort of things that we see and hear all of the time. But thank you for sharing all of that, because that will give us a real heads up actually on what it is that you guys specifically want to get from these sessions. That's absolutely superb. Okay, so let me just clear that whiteboard down and I'll just move on. I think there was probably a few bits and pieces in chat there as well. Couldn't find the text tool. I think Zoom is the best platform too. Michelle's saying absolutely. Okay, so COVID-19. Well, we know it's had a huge impact. Right at the very beginning of the lockdown, I can remember having many conversations with people absolutely panic-stricken, that they had no idea what they were going to do. They had no experience within this space, and they just simply didn't know which way to turn. So things have changed, things have developed, things have moved on. Of course they have, but we're still seeing a lot of businesses, a lot of individuals not actually utilising half of the tools that are available to them. And that is creepy. Absolutely, I agree, especially because it's such a clear image as well. Lockdown's creepy, COVID's creepy, but not quite as creepy as this. We're all on a roller coaster, and that's what I call it. 1 minute we're unlocked, next minute we're not, next minute we're all getting back into the classroom, next minute we're not. You know, online's here to stay. It's not going to go anywhere. That recognition now has started to actually come into most businesses, and they're realising that there's a lot of power and there's a lot of benefit to the online space. So all of a sudden that roller coaster, if you like, has actually really accelerated that realization for a lot of businesses. So again, it's just something else to consider. What's your roller coaster? What's your ups and downs at the moment also? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to hand back over to Hayley, and we're going to have a look at taking this a little bit further forwards.
Brilliant. Thanks again, Sam. So it's really good to see so much coming up in the chat there. Do ask your questions and raise your concerns. You'll see Erica's in there now sharing some myth-busting documents there around Zoom. And I think, you know, say it, and because you never know, one of us will always be looking in there and hopefully be able to answer some things actually in the session, which will make it really valuable for you. So what we're going to start thinking about now is this biggest shift. So what we're going to show you is a poll everywhere very shortly. So we're going to open up a word cloud for you to be able to complete this. And what we'd like you to do there is just respond using the web page there at the top of the screen. So if you just put that web page into the screen, and you have to put the full address in there to be able to access it, rather than Googling poll everywhere or something like that. Make sure you put the address there into your phone, onto your web browser if you've got a couple of screens. And just access this question. And what you'll be able to see once you've gone into that is you'll see where you can just put some words in there which describe the biggest shift for you in the online space. Now, we'll probably break the poll because that's what we do when we've got lots of people in, because there's a limited number of responses. So it's fastest finger first, I'm afraid, for this. And those who get in there first, the responses will start to pop up on the screen. So get into that. If you've got any questions, just pop them in the chat. We're right here. But have a go at accessing the poll there and answer that question. Now, if you can, try and answer that question in one word, because the word cloud will show up one word on the screen at a time. So what it will do is bring up one word of your sentence. So keep it short, sharp, and think about one word that summarizes the biggest shift for you in the online space during 2020. We've got engagement coming up there, so we can see some words starting to come in there. We'll wait for some more to come up, so you can access them on your phone. Any issues, just let us know. Team, work. Yeah, so we're working a lot more remotely now. We're working online. Probably our whole workspace has significantly changed for some. Accessibility, and it'd be interesting to know if we feel that's positive access to things or whether it sometimes feels more negative. If people have written something up there that you're thinking, type it again. What it will do is make the word bigger. So all it does is starts to reinforce some of the things that we're seeing on there, but loads of really great stuff here. So the biggest shift, there's a lot around collaboration here and working together, pulling together. And I think this is a real sign of where that's really happened in the online space and given us the opportunity to do that. People's mindsets are shifting. People are really starting to think differently. There's some really positive things on here. Obviously, the use of technology. Even today, we've got Zoom on in one room, Teams on in another. You know, we're all connecting with people outside of our houses using technology. I mean, it's opening up a lot of opportunities. Convincing, that's a really interesting word as well. And I'm guessing that's around convincing people to be thinking about looking at doing things more digitally. Interactivity, digital engagement, changing visuals. So actually things need to look different, to feel different, don't they? That's a really nice word in there as well. I love the collaboration. That's come up a couple of times there as well. Brilliant. And I love this idea of accessibility and flexibility and the opportunity it brings for people to incorporate digital into their lives. So there's a number of different things here. I'm wondering if it's highlighted any challenges or anything that people are finding difficult with it as well, and being able to do this really successfully. Engagements come up huge there as well. Kim, I can see you typing up there on the screen. Brilliant use of your annotation tools there as well. Misconceptions, yes, so we're starting to correct some of that. Look at that. Got loads of great things come up here. Use of Zoom. Zoom's come up really big there as well. It's like the word, isn't it? The word of 2020. People are loving Zoom. Screen fatigue. So thinking about how we feel around the fatigues come up there a few times as well. And I think, you know, we're feeling that, and where do we get our energy from? Brilliant words. The poll is full. I was going to say it's broken. It's not broken. It's full. We've used it to its maximum. But look, what a great visual word cloud of the shifts and the challenges for us in this space in the last 12 months. So we're going to move on just to summarize some of this for you now, really, and just pull together, I suppose, some of our thoughts on this before we move on into the next part of the session. So having a little look at some of the shifts in online learning over the last, say, I want to say 12 months, but it's probably more like 10 really. And I can see some more things. Kim, you've got some comments coming up in there. So one of the things and one of the biggest shifts for people is how different engagement needs to look now in this online space, because what we find is you're engaged with people face to face in one way, and initially back in March what people did was come straight into the virtual space and just bring their face to face stuff with them and present it and present it virtually. So engagement looks different virtually, and we have to kind of embrace that and look at that. The other big shift is this idea of a webinar. I'm sure it'd be really interesting actually if you open up your reactions, just click on the green tick in reactions if you've attended a copious amount of webinars in the last 10 months and probably even before that. And I think having these webinars, there's connotations attached to webinars and we have different feelings about those. And what we're finding now is more and more people are having to shift their mindset to this virtual classroom, this idea of it being interactive and sharing ideas and coming together and actually learning something and not just being presented at. This has hugely accelerated this digitalization, and it's accelerated how even schools and education providers are having to do things, how the banks are having to operate, how so many different sectors now have had this just completely accelerated in the last 10 months. We've got to think about our environment, and there's more distractions potentially around us now, and I've talked about some of those this morning. And what can come hand in hand with this is this idea of work-life balance as well, and actually being able to manage this at home. So I can see there's a few questions coming in there around the reactions as well. That could be down to the version of Zoom. I'm sure one of the ladies will be in there answering that. Yeah, Erica's answering that in there as well. Okay, and then the other thing to start thinking about is, what skills does this actually mean? What do I need to be able to do to be able to bring this to life more effectively? Because I've made do long enough. I've sat online, I've sat through a whole load of webinars, I've been presented at, I've presented to other people. What do I need to do to actually make this come to life and be more engaging and interesting for people? I can see some stamps coming up there, a nice green tick on the screen as well. So what we're going to start to look at now is how this actually compares to 12 months ago. So what I'd like you to do is to think about those shifts and how does that compare to the things that we were doing this time last year. So just using the chat box now, just open the chat box and let us know in there, how do those shifts, those things that we've just talked about, that acceleration of digital, all the priorities that we're working through now, how does it compare to what we were prioritizing 12 months ago? So think about, what were some of your challenges maybe face to face? What were you doing 12 months ago that's different to what you're doing now? Because he's talking about our upgraded Zoom. Yeah, there is an upgrade you can force on there actually. More creative now than before, Jennifer. So it's brought with it some more creativity and more creative thinking. I think that's a really good point, Jennifer. What else? How have things changed for you? Just in the last 12 months, how your mindset, how you've been thinking, working without paper, Becky. I wish I could say the same. I feel like my scribble pad in front of me is still a necessity. Definitely. Using more playful activities, harder work. God, there's loads coming in here, really forcing me to think about key takeaways and learning. So you're really focusing that time maybe more effectively and being more smart with your time. I can do more training, needing more IT kits, second, third screens. Yep, so thinking about that workspace, definitely. Yeah, I started this business last January on a laptop, and it did not take me long whatsoever to have a whole array of screens around me to be able to work better. How to update? Oh, less commuting. Sorry, Erica, I'm reading out your response there. Less commuting, so we're able to actually focus more on work. I can work with more clients, Vicky, so our reach has grown. Loving no travel, Kizzy, I hear you. Definitely. So there's loads of good things coming in here. So we're really starting to feel a shift for ourselves. And it feels to me this is very, very positive in here. And I know that there's going to be sometimes things that we find particularly challenging as well. And we'll come to some of that shortly. So without further ado, I'm going to pass you back to Sam now. So thank you so much for all your participation there. We're going to go back to Sam now to start looking at a bit of work around some slide design before we go on and tell you more about our programme. I can wear my slippers to work, Kizzy. I love that.
Yes, absolutely. I think everybody's got the slippers on. I've certainly got my slippers on today. I certainly have. I know things like tracksuit sales have risen by something like 50% or something in pyjamas, because obviously comfy pants, nice top. That's just how it is it not? That's one of the main things anyway that's gone on. So one of the things that we do tend to find, and if we think back to some of the things that you kind of mentioned about what you wanted to get out of the session today, you know, converting face-to-face material to the online space, etc. Those types of things are something that we see all the time. I get sent material to deliver for some other clients, and I've actually refused to deliver it because of the way it's been laid out. So, oh, stretchy trousers, Sarah, you can't beat them. Absolutely. It's when you try and get back in your jeans, that's the problem, isn't it? That's the issue. That's what must have shrunk in the wash. Anyway, another story. Okay, so what I want to do now, I'm going to pop some slides on, the 6 little slides on the screen now, and I want you to use your stamp tool. If any of these look familiar to you, and I also want you to tell me in chat your thoughts on them. And it's not a case of familiarity as, oh yes, mine look exactly the same as that. It's the type of thing that's on the slide. So things like blocks of text, etc. Bullet points, Sarah saying, absolutely. All right, a little tiny few of them, but not on every single slide when there's like 197 in the deck, for instance. So yeah, I can see all of these little stamp tools coming on now. Too many words, Emma's saying there. Bullet points again, too much text. Yeah, we've got things like complex charts, different types of font, drives me mad. Again, you know, 1 minute you're all wiggly and all the rest of it, and then next minute you're back to Arial or Calibri. It's like, well, make your mind up. Bullet points galore again, overstretched images, you know, where people have found a really, really nice picture, if you like, and then all of a sudden they've gone, oh, I don't quite know how to make this full screen, so I'm just going to really stretch it, and then it just looks really distorted. And things like the good old template, you know, where it kind of doesn't match anything else really that you sort of put in the slide. But these are the types of things. I've got a corporate background, I'm ex-Barclays, and you know, if I was probably to look at those slides now that I created as well within the bank as well, when I used to deliver the training sometimes, I'd be thinking, oh my goodness me, how conducive are they really for the learner? And I can see here that we've got quite a few people. Jennifer saying they're cognitive overload, and that's one of the big things that we have a look at in Dial Up Digital. How can we stop this happening to the learner? Because like we said, how on earth are we expecting them to remember the information when actually they've left the session, go back to work, and then all of a sudden, hang on a minute, things aren't working quite as well as we would have expected, and those learning outcomes haven't hit home. Kim's saying as well, too many different fonts and rubbish colours. This is it. I'm dyslexic. See, this is the other thing, isn't it? How can you make it really conducive to the learner? Not clearly set out. Becky's saying that I think a lot of presenters do their slides like that because the fear presenting, so hide behind the slide. Absolutely, because if all the words are on the slide, well, then I can read the slide, can't I? In other words, I don't really know the content, or I'm not confident with the content. And these are a couple of the things also that we have a look in the programme. I find it horribly distracting. Michelle, you are not on your own. And we also share the reasons as to why you find it distracting as well. So again, really interesting, some of the comments there. And again, this is just something that we see very, very regularly. So if we get this right though, if we actually engage our learners, if our facilitators are far more connected with the material and far more skilled in delivering it, if we get the design right, actually an awful lot of it follows and it just works. And we know it works because we've got the proof. So what would be the impact for you then if you could get this right for you, your business, your facilitators and your learners? Pop that into chat. Think they should deliver, Maria saying, yeah. I always say about the design, everything flows better and seems easier. It makes the whole thing completely different, the whole life easier. Credibility, Crow saying as well, which is another really good point. You know, as a facilitator, you're at front of house, aren't you? Transitions, overused. I think we've got lots of attention, focus, high level of engagement, better application of learning. Lots and lots of chat coming in here. Better experience for everyone would surely lead to more sales. See, this is it. It certainly does. So whether you're doing, I had somebody come to me the other day about interviewing techniques, etc. Interviewer and interviewee. That's one of the sessions I'm just about to be doing. Selling, sales, for instance, pitching, put my teeth back in, presentations, meetings. Who says it has to be boring? Who says you have to just sit there and listen? I think if we're going to use this online space, well, then let's use it properly, and let's just make it super interactive. Better interaction with me and engagement, taking away information that they will use. Absolutely perfect. Okay, I'm going to hand back over now to Erica, who's going to take us through the rest around Dial-Up Digital.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Hayley, and thank you everybody who has engaged in our session so far. So everything we've talked about today, or we've shown you today, is just scratching the surface, just the tip of the iceberg of our Dial-Up Digital programme. And we'd like to just share a little bit of information around the programme and the benefits. So the programme is written in collaboration with Hayley, myself and Sam, and we're really, really proud of it. And you've got a good taster today of how we run the session. We really put you in the driving seat for a lot of the modules and give you the practical experience and application to feel confident and competent in that online space. You might have seen some of our marketing material. We genuinely want you to feel like you're smashing it out of the park every time you're designing and delivering your online sessions. So if we were doing that, if you were feeling like you were smashing it out of the park at all of your online sessions, just in the chat box, tell me, what difference would that make? How would that feel if you were smashing it out of the park every time? Just give me your thoughts in the chat box. If you knew you were coming away from your sessions, whether they were designed or delivered, and they were absolutely awesome, you smashed it, you were confident in the tech, confident in the different style of facilitation, truly adding value, confidence is coming through a lot there in the chat. We don't want facilitators to feel, still I'm nervous, what happens, can I freeze my screen, can I go to a different deck, what is the best practice here? Who can I go to really understand if materials are driving that recall and retention in terms of learning? So again, learning not being redundant. Yeah, the individual follow-up, Vicky, absolutely. You'd be driving that performance either with your clients or in your business areas, because you'd be increasing that engagement and the interaction every single time. It's exactly what Dial-Up's about. So let us tell you a little bit more about the programme. So you probably would have seen this kind of branding. We've particularly and deliberately gone for something that's very different in the market, because we recognise that online learning has moved on significantly over at least the last 12 months, let alone the last 10 years, which Sam and Hayley and I have got years of experience in this space. And we've seen the uptake of Zoom and people using Teams, and the Dial-Up programme can be delivered across any platform. So if you have a particular platform that you might use, Blue Jeans, for example, Big Blue Button, some of the other ones that are starting to creep up, or you might use WebEx, or you might use GoTo, Google Classroom, for example, we can deliver it across that. And the aim of the programme really is to get you in that space where you've covered your, what are my behaviours? What's affecting the learner if I've got this verbal leakage coming out because I'm feeling underconfident around how I'm using the tech? How can I make sure I've got a really excellent structure to build my programs, so I'm not flailing around a little bit in terms of how I could create this in the virtual space? We will give you a full 360 toolkit to take away, and you will practice it in the session as well. So let's give you a little bit more detail around this then in terms of how the course is structured. It's an 18-hour workshop, so we run this in terms of 4 times 4.5 hour modules. And again, we've talked about, running that on any platform. We do have a number of open courses running throughout 2021. I've just popped the brochure for you to download into the chat. That gives you further information. I'm going to do the same again for you guys as well, so you can take that away and have a good read after the session as well. If you do have enough people that you'd like to run an internal workshop, so you'd like it a bit more tailored to yourself, your organisation or your client, we'll be very happy to have those conversations as well. We're also very excited, and if we could just move on to the next slide, to bring this to you for $995 plus VAT per person. So, we think that's a reasonable cost considering it's a certificated programme, and we'll talk a little bit more around the CPD Standards Office that we have partnered with for this programme as well. So you will come away not just with the skills, knowledge and behaviour for that price and that investment in your own future and your own capability, but also a certificate and some CPD points to prove that as well. So what do we cover? These are our objectives. So we don't just go into how you use Zoom or how you use Teams. We talk about stepping back. Where is our mindset right now? What challenges are we internally facing around our own confidence and our own behaviours? And we need to know specifically what are those skills that we need to drive that engagement and interactivity. The influence that you have as a facilitator, what does that mean? Because I think sometimes we underestimate that. We really put you in the position of feeling it. So it's an experiential workshop. You feel the feels when it goes wrong. You feel the feels when it goes right. So again, you're practicing all of this in a safe space before having to go out and do it with a client in general. Confidence, competence and mastering the technology. Of course, tech is a big part of this as well. Call this double brain thinking. You got one brain for your facilitation, you know, so as you would do with your good trainer skill set already, you've got a second brain managing the tech. So it's so slick that you can't see, your learners can't see you moving between different things, different decks, different browsers, you know, if you've embedded poll everywhere, Mentimeter, whatever that might be. So we teach you all of this stuff. High impact learning is what this is all about. And also you do get a written report to support your continuous professional development. So you take away a very detailed report from the facilitator running the program around what went really well and what would be even better next time. Okay, so what's in it for you? Well, we know that you're going to come away feeling great, confident, you smashed it out of the park, all of that stuff that you guys told us in the chat earlier. You're also going to come away with a recognised CPD standard certificate, which will have your name on. That's for you to take and keep. That's for you to hold in terms of your competency. So if we can just move on to this, have a look at the certificate. There you go, there's an example of that. So as we've talked about, we have partnered with CPD Standards Office. This is the top quality stuff. This is exactly why we've come together as the three of us to bring our years of experience together to make sure this is a different position in the market. We are innovative, we're fun, we're bold, and we really allow you to get what you need out of this session and this workshop and the certificate there to prove it. And alongside the certificate, you also get your CPD points. Oh, if we can just pop back, thank you. CPD points, you get 3 digital badges for you to be able to use that on your LinkedIn profile, for example, to show that you have dialed up your design and dialed up your delivery. You will be coming away feeling that you're mastering the online space, because that's why it's the 18 hours program. It's not just a dip in and dip out. You've done a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there. We really immerse you into this. So there's a good return on investment from you in terms of, like Beth from Fujitsu said at the beginning of the session, you know, recognizing now, particularly from a buying perspective, that it's a very different set of skills, as Liam Neeson says in the Taken film, that we require in that online space. So there's kind of an overview of the programme. Again, some great questions coming through in the chat, so do please keep those questions coming. Do please feel free to give one of us or the three of us a quick email at the end of the session. You'll see the email addresses into the brochure that we've also downloaded. And if I could ask Hayley just to pop our email addresses into the chat as well, you can click on those and they will take you to drop us an email as well. So we've got 10 minutes left of our webinar. What questions do you have around virtual learning, what we've presented to you today, perhaps the dial-up digital program? Any questions, do feel free to pop them into the chat. And we'll just give a couple of seconds to see if there's anything there. Brilliant, okay. So if there is no questions, what we're going to do is just a knowledge transfer exercise till the end, as in good best practice learning and development. And the question we're going to ask you is, what has been your biggest insight today? What has been your biggest insight in terms of what we've demoed, what you've learned, what you've asked, the Dial-Up Digital program. Just grab your text tool for me on your annotate toolbar, grab your T, and just give us some insights and some key takeaways, and I'll just address the questions in the chat as you guys are doing that as well. Okay, Kim says, what amount of time is needed for the investment in the course, or is it all done in the 4 times 4.5 hours? Great question, Kim. So that's the formal tutor-led time, is the 18 hours. There's a little bit of pre-work at the beginning, so what we'd like you to do is come to the first session with a bit of a pre-assessment. So we send you out a questionnaire in advance and we ask you to self-assess your challenges and where you perceive that you are in your online learning. And what that allows us to do is again demonstrate that return on investment with you, so we can measure that distance traveled from where you are starting the program to the end of the program as well. So and of course, if you depending on the capability level that you come in, you might want to go away and do some practice between sessions as well, but that would be entirely up to you. We would recommend it, but the majority of the time is the 4.5 hour sessions. The last module is a teach back. So what we ask you to do is come back and deliver 10 to 15 minutes based on everything you've learned over the program. So you would need to prepare that in between modules to bring to that teach back module as well. Hopefully that answers your question, Kim. Thank you for that. Philippa says, how easy is it for somebody who has a complete fear of technology? Oh, Philippa, yeah, I can see Sam rubbing her hands there, getting very excited, probably wanting to get her hands all over you in the best possible way. Philippa, this is a program that has multiple entry points. So if you're coming into this very new and with a sense of fear, which, you know, thank you for being so honest about that, because a lot of people are in that space. A lot of people still struggle and worry about the technology. We will give you what you need to increase that confidence level. So absolutely, we would welcome you joining the program. Good stuff. Okay, thanks very much, Joe. Thanks, Kim again. Thanks, Erica. What's the duration of the course in weeks? So typically we run it over 2 to 3 weeks. So there'll be a couple of modules in week 1, a couple of modules in week 2. That's the open program. But we can be flexible, particularly in in-house programs as well. So what works best for the learners, and obviously schedule and availability as well. Fantastic. Philippa says she's ex-Barclays too, so she must have come across you, Sam, at some point. Absolutely, great. So some fab stuff popping up on our video whiteboard, and that's something else we show you how to create in the session as well. Some good stuff. How can I add value to my company? Annotations. How much has happened in such a short space of time? I think that's a great reflection as well. And word clouds, details of the course. Marie says the way you facilitated the 3 ladies, to the way you gave interaction. Thank you very much. How you can interact and you make it sound so easy. And you know what? This is what we do, and this is you know, we've honed these skills over a long period of time, and the 3 of us, I'm sure, would agree that this is around practice, trying something new. Time, just as if you were to learn to drive. They say time on the road matters, don't they, when you're learning to drive? Time on your platform and getting feedback, and that's another service we do offer as well. If you just want some feedback, say following Dial-Up Digital, record yourself, send us the recordings, and we give very detailed feedback off the back of that as well. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. If we just clear down those very kind annotations that you've popped on the screen for us. And we're just going to wrap up our session here. This is a fantastic quote. With the right mindset, we can't lose. We can either practice what we've learned or learn what we need to practice. And that really underpins our philosophy in Dial-Up Digital. You know, you get the expertise from the 3 of us, practice in a safe space, and come out feeling that you're going to smash it out of the park every time. Okay, thank you very much. Again, if you want to just pick up those QR codes, if you missed them before, here's the QR codes for each of the websites. The Dial-Up information is on those websites as well if you want to go and have a look. And we'll stay on for the last couple of minutes, but formally, thank you for attending today's session. Appreciate your interactivity. Thank you for your kind words of support, and we really hope we can support you in your virtual learning journey.
Hi, my name's Beth Rowlands. I'm Head of Talent and Skills for Fujitsu in the UK. Just wanted to say a few words really about digital delivery and the importance that it plays in our business, and certainly how we deliver any training interventions or any people interventions really. We've been delivering everything digitally really since the start of lockdown. And what we've learned very quickly is there is a very unique set of skills that you need to really make your digital delivery a truly engaging experience. I guess at the start we kind of thought, well, there can't be that much you need to know, right, about Zoom. You can learn as you go, you can pick the skills up over time, and that's probably true. However, if you really want to accelerate your learning and you want to make the most of Zoom or Teams or all the plethora of different tools that are available to you, and really hone your craft, then I would really suggest investing in some personal development for yourself. As I now regularly buy in this market, and I'm looking for trainers that can deliver superbly and get a superbly engaging experience really. And I think I've got, as a buyer, a bit savvier as kind of time has gone on, and really I'm clear now on what I'm looking for. So I think it's super important to spend some time on your own personal investment and in upping your game in how you can take the day-to-day training that you deliver and really make it fit for purpose via an online environment, whichever one you happen to choose.
So right at the beginning of lockdown, we were facing a dilemma. One of our most valued clients had asked us to provide them with a suite of virtual learning materials to support their staff through the whole lockdown experience. I've never trained in a virtual classroom environment, nor had anyone else in our organisation. I've never even been on a webinar as a speaker. So this was a really scary experience, but we didn't want to let our client down. So we came across this virtual skills programme and we ran it for our organisation, and it gave us not only the confidence but also the skills to translate our virtual or into a virtual learning process all of the face-to-face materials that we've been so far running up until then. In terms of the impact on our business, well, we've kept going all the way through lockdown. We haven't needed to furlough any of our team, and we've not only been able to satisfy that client's demands, we've been able to also win new work, and we turned our offering from a face-to-face offering into a virtual learning offering, expanding our repertoire and really enjoying it as well. So the impact's been fantastic.
When lockdown started back in March this year, it was a really interesting challenge to start thinking about how I'm going to pivot my business, because one of the biggest challenges, of course, is the fact that we were so restricted in what we could do. So having more impact and being able to still support my clients was absolutely paramount to me. I've had my business for 10 years and always done a lot of my work through my coaching, mentoring and leadership programs has been done face to face, like most of us. And this for me was a massive departure to change it all. So one of the big areas for me was really important for me was to invest in myself and start learning about how to use virtual technology and how to use Zoom, Teams and so on to be able to do that. I've loosely used Teams and Skype before, but never ever used Zoom before. So the impact that's had has been absolutely massive and all positive. And I feel we've really got to climb mountains this year to pivot businesses and become more agile and innovative about the way we deliver things. So understanding how to use it and the functionality that sits there and all those opportunities has just been absolutely amazing. And I've really enjoyed learning about it. The impact's been just phenomenal for me. And it's really, I feel like it's really setting my business up to take it forward into 2021 and beyond. And it's opened up my world. The physical world's changed, but my global reach now is just huge. So I'm really thankful that I've had that opportunity to be able to really get to grips with how to use all this virtual technology. So it's been excellent. As Angie, Evolution for Business.